Hey class, I want to talk about the Module 2 and 3 review quiz. Some of you did pretty well, but I had quite a few of you who seemed to struggle with this a bit. One of my main reasons for doing this quiz is to get you to think on your own a little bit, because I know with the mind tap assignments, with the instructions, you tend to follow the instructions and do exactly as you're told, and you're not really thinking about why you're doing it. And so, again, that was one of my main reasons for having this quiz. So let's go through most of these answers and look at this, or go through these questions and answers together. You will notice for all of these answers, you really could have gotten them just by opening up Excel and plugging in a few numbers in there, and or looking at your book or ebook. So let's look at the first question. What do these pound signs mean? Well, I do have a hint, and I tell you exactly what page to look at the book or ebook. So basically what this is the column is not wide enough to display a number. So you don't need to decrease the size of the number, change the font size, take away decimals. You simply need to increase the width of the column. Okay, question 2. What is a print area? What are print titles? Now, again, you may not know what these are exactly, but if you open up Excel, and let's go to page layout, here's my print area. If I hover over it, it tells me select an area on the sheet you'd like to print. So it's basically a selected area that you print. So instead of printing the entire worksheet, you can select an area. Now, for some of you, I left some feedback because you used the word highlight. Now, I don't want you to think I'm being nitpicky, but that's simply not the correct term. You are selecting an area. Once you select an area that you want to print, then you would set print area. Now, print titles, they're rows or columns you want to repeat on the top of each printed page. Okay, question 3. Now this one may seem a little funky, so convert the following equation into an Excel formula, and it's telling you where the radius is stored in E31 and the value of pi is stored in D12. So basically what I want is pi times the radius squared. So how am I going to write that in Excel? Well, let's come here. So I have pi in D12 and I have the radius in E31. So how am I going to write that? Scroll over so I can see all of this. So basically we know that a formula starts with the equal sign. So equal, I want to take pi times, pi is stored in D12, so it's going to be D12. Normally I would click on the cell range, but what I'm trying to record here, I made the screen too small, times radius squared. So the radius is in E31. So what some of you did was you did E31 times E31. That is correct, but you could actually use your exponent and say to the power of 2. So E31 squared. So this is really what I was looking for here. D12 times E31 to the exponent of 2. Okay, explain the difference between the count function and the count A. Again, if you don't know what these mean, go into Excel and explore that. But let's say I don't know what those mean. If I start putting in my formula, or my function rather, equal count, look at my menu that comes up here. So count counts the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. Well, what is the count A? Counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. Now someone put in their answer, think of A as all, and that is a good way to remember it. It's going to count all cells that are not empty, so it doesn't matter if it's text or numbers. Now this one here, if R10 contains the formula R, which is absolute, and the row 1 is not, plus the column R, where row 2 is absolute. If it's then copied to S20, what's the formula entered in S20? Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to open up Excel, and I got some numbers plugged in. So R1 and R2, I just threw in some numbers, and my formula is in R10. So again, my column is absolute, my row is absolute here. If I copy this formula to S20, go down to S, click on 20, copy it, what do I have? There's my answer right there. So I felt like some of you just guessed on this one when really all you had to do was jump into Excel and check that out. Again, if you want a further explanation on this particular question, watch the video that I have in the general section of the discussion forum. Okay, let's look at some more. This one right here, the VLOOKUP, if you weren't sure how to do a VLOOKUP, again, you could have gone into Excel and looked, because I gave you everything that you needed to know. The first thing here, the exact match lookup. So some of you left off this variable within the formula, but the lookup value was G5. Here is your range, A1 through F50, and you're returning the value from the third column of the table. So if I go into Excel, and let's say I'm going to do the VLOOKUP, and if I don't know how a formula works, it's telling me right here in this tooltip that pops up, or I can open up the function dialog box. So my lookup value, my table array, my column index number, and then right here, range lookup. If I want an exact match, that has to be false. You had 4 variables within that function. Now, this last one, no one seemed to miss, maybe because I gave you some video help. Maybe that's a clue for me that I need to do in the future, some more things like that. But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that it just seemed like some of you didn't use the resources that you had available to you. Now, you'll notice that I am posting this video prior to the due date. So, if any of you want to go back and redo some of your answers, you just have a few more hours. All right, that's it. I'm out.